Welcome to Classic Value Investors and Microcap Explosions. Today we are talking about Winmark, which is in the Why is this a great business video series. Winmark is a company that I included in my How to Profit from the Coronavirus Recession book, and the ticker symbol is WINA. Now I just want to be clear about something here. This video is not about recommending to buy Winmark. We are talking about Winmark simply as a case study of why this is a great business. Okay, so now that we have this out of the way, let's talk about what this company is and why is it such a great business. What you have in front of you is five brands. You see Play It Again Sports, Once Upon a Child, Music Go Round, Plato's Closet, and Style Encore. What Winmark is, this company does not actually own any of these stores. Winmark is a franchisor of these five brands to independent owners. So I don't know if you shopped at some of these stores. They're in the United States. I personally shopped in Plato's Closet and Play It Again Sports. So Plato's Closet is a place where people can resell their clothes. So you can buy used clothing that's in very good condition in Plato's Closet at a much cheaper price. When it comes to Play It Again Sports, you can buy used sports equipment. So if, let's say, you want to buy soccer ball or basketball or some weightlifting equipment, you can get it there at a much cheaper price. It's a second hand, so you can get it at a much cheaper price than you would if you bought it new. Once Upon a Child is a store kind of like Plato's Closet, but it's for children, and so used clothes for children, and it kind of makes sense for parents because as children grow older very fast, why would you want to spend money on new clothing? And Music Go Around is the same concept with music instruments like guitars, drums, or whatever. So you can buy it there. And then this is a new concept. It's kind of like Plato's Closet, but Plato's Closet is targeted more towards teenagers, where Style Encore is targeted towards middle-aged women. So technically, you and I could let's say open Plato's Closet as a brand, and we would be responsible for getting the lease, doing the store build out, and then we would be paying Winmark like a one-time franchise fee of $25,000, and then weekly royalties ranging from 4 to 5% of gross sales. And now the reason why this business is so great for Winmark is because Winmark doesn't have to open these stores. It doesn't have to build them. It doesn't have to sign the lease. They are just letting you or the customers use the brand, and they get paid royalties and one-time fees for signing the customers on. And the business is very capital light. If we look at some of the operating metrics for Winmark from Morningstar, you can see that the returns on assets are just phenomenal. 42%, 46%, 50%, 63%, almost 60%. I mean, it's just absolutely unbelievable. When it comes to gross margins, they are just off the chart. Almost 90%, here over 90%. Operating margin is more than 50%, and the net profit margin is here at 33%, 35%, 41%, 44%. Not very many businesses can say that they have those kinds of metrics. When we look at Winmark's stock price from a year, so when I wrote about it in the book, the stock was like in April, the stock was like about 115. It's at 170, so it obviously appreciated, but it didn't double or anything. But when we look at it over a long period of time, the stock chart is just absolutely unbelievable. From let's say 2000 we're looking at the stock price of, let's say, about $4. So 170 divided by $4, that's like a more than 40x. And this is the kind of performance that you can get over a long period of time when a business can generate these kinds of operating metrics. Let's go over some of the things in the 10K, and as we go through it, I will point out just for us to learn about this business and maybe apply some of this knowledge to our future businesses. As I said before, it's a franchise operations or franchisor for these brand names: Plato's Closet, Once Upon a Child, Play It Again Sports, Style Anchor, and Music Go Round. What I didn't say yet is, because this is such a cash cow, the company also has another completely unrelated business, if I can find here, where they are leasing equipment rental. Right here, equipment leasing business. So when I talked to this company, they told me that because they are cash flowing so much, they are taking some of the money and investing it in equipment leasing business because they can get high returns on their investment in this equipment leasing. But the reason why I like this business is not so much because of this equipment leasing operations, but because it's capital light. It's a franchisor of very good 5 brands. You already saw what the stock price did over the last 20 years or so. If we just look at it, what it did the last 5 years, it about doubled. Okay, now it might not be too fantastic or anything, but here's what I want to point out. If you look at the company's income statement, and you can see here that the revenues consist of royalties, leasing income, merchandise sales, and franchise fees. And obviously the biggest one is the royalties. This is what you want to see, and this is the equipment leasing, and everything else is kind of not meaningful to even mention. But as I said before, if the total revenues in 2019, they were 74 million, and now look at this net income. Okay, so remember how we were talking about gross margins. 32 million from 74 is the bottom line. That is absolutely incredible, and that's because royalties, it doesn't cost this company much. Royalties are royalties, right? You pay them as a customer. You pay them 4 or 5% of sales, and yes, they support you and everything, but it's a very high margin business. That's why I like it. But if you look at this income statement from 2015, you'll notice, and I'm just talking about total revenues, you'll notice that it is not a company that grows very fast. And in this environment, every company has to be, in order to be relevant, they have to be a fast growing, disrupting type of business. But this company is not. It had revenues of about the same thing, 70 million in 2015, as it has right now, but the stock price has doubled. How is that possible? Now, the net income obviously did okay, which means that the margins expanded. It went from 22 million to 32 million, but it's not like net income doubled or anything, right? Now, to get a clue of what's going on, all we need to do is look at the number of shares outstanding, and it was 4.6 million, and now it's 4.1 million, which tells you that it's very likely that the reason why it declined is because the company bought back shares. So it's kind of like if you and your 2 other friends, you own a business together, and you own, as a 1/3 partner, you would own 33 percent of the business. But if you buy back or buy out one of your partners, and let's say if you personally buy all the shares of your partner, your ownership goes from 33% to 66%. And that's kind of like how you want to think of buybacks. Because of the number of outstanding shares went down, the earnings per share went up by a bigger, I would say close to double, but it went up by a bigger amount than just the net income alone. And that's how companies can create shareholders value, even though the business itself, in terms of revenues, doesn't necessarily have to be growing. To get a better idea of what the company did to use the cash flow, it's good to look at the cash flow statement. And here we have it from 2017, 2018, and 2019. When you look at the net cash provided by operating activities, you see that in this case, it went from 25 million to 50 million. But let's look at the last year. So almost 51 million in operating cash flow. Now, how this cash flow belongs to the shareholders. How was this cash spent? So we look at investing activities. We see that, right, this item here, purchase of property and equipment, very little money was spent on it. And this tells you, and this is CapEx, this tells you that this company is very capital light. That's wonderful. Capital light businesses are wonderful. Now, why is this capital light? Because I said before, they don't have to build stores. They don't have to remodel stores. It's somebody else spending the capital, and they just get royalties. Wonderful, wonderful business. Now, the next item is purchase of equipment for lease contracts. Now, this is what I said before. They are taking quite a chunk from the cash flow from operations. You see here in 2017, they took like 100% of it, of this cash flow, and they invested it into equipment leasing. And then here, again, another big portion went for buying equipment. And then here, a little bit less in relation to the cash flow from operations. Only 9 million went to equipment leasing. And when I talk to the CEO, they do this because equipment leasing generates nice return for them. But equipment leasing is capital intensive business because you actually have to buy the equipment. So they are using a capital light business and invest this money into, or part of this money into, more capital heavy business, but it's okay because that business generates nice returns on that capital. Now, when we look at financing activities, you can see you're looking for things like dividends, for example. So you can see that the company is a dividend paying company. Every year it pays a dividend. When you look at repurchase of common stock, here you can see how much money the company spends on repurchasing its own stock. In 2017, it repurchased almost $50 million worth of shares. Then in 2018, a little bit, almost close to 2 million. And then in 2019, 24 million. So this is why the number of shares has been going down, because the company is using part of the cash flow to buy back shares. This is very good because purchasing of shares is very good for you as a shareholder. Dividends are very good as a shareholder. Reinvestment in new equipment is very good for you as a shareholder, because this new equipment generates more money. In conclusion, Winmark is a very good business. I included it in the How to Profit from the Coronavirus book. As a franchisor, the business is very capital light. The company is using the capital that it generates to reinvest it in the equipment leasing business, into buying back shares, into paying dividends, and as a result of this, the company's shareholders benefited by owning shares of this company over a long period of time.